So here we are. We're doing the Rogue Dragonflight PvP Roundtable. We got Nahj, we got Kalvish. If you guys don't know who these people are, go Google them. You'll find them. Well-known people. I'm not going to waste our time. We have a limited amount of time and a lot of information to go through. 3 specs, 2 people. So let's just jump right into it. Let's get to the information, the meat and potatoes, the nuts and bolts that people really want to hear. I want to hear... Nahj, I want to hear from you first. Assassination. No, sorry, Subtilty. Assassination is Kalvish. Subtilty. What's something that's really exciting you about Subtilty in Dragonflight?
So mostly, I would say like Gouge and the rotation being actually different. That new talent that kind of came out a couple builds ago, the Dance Macabre, it like changes your rotation like every dance. Like it's no longer just builder spender. Like there's gonna be times where like you actually get rewarded for off gouging or shivving or throwing out a fan of knives. Like that changes your rotation a lot.
That's huge.
So it's actually like a lot more interesting than just cheap shot on like holding globals on an orc.
I like it. I like it. So is Subtlety going to still be that master of shadows, that master of control, or is that going to shift the gameplay slightly where they're going to be a bit more damage in the face, I guess?
Kind of too early to tell. It depends how they do the damage. Like if we can play other comps that isn't just RMP and it's like a solo queue type game, and I can like play well with a Shadow Priest or a Hunter or a Boomkin or something like that, then I think they'll be a little more extended in staying in rather than just running for restealth stall game.
Fair enough.
But like it just depends if we can actually do sustained damage or not. But like one of the big things that help with that is we get better wound poison next expansion, so we're gonna have the same like 24% as Asa, whereas it normally has 12% wound.
Ooh.
So that might help a little bit.
That sounds tasty. All right. You speak of Asa, back over to you, Kalvish, since I kind of botched that right at the beginning. But Assassination, what's something that is, I don't know, tantalizing about that spec this turnaround?
Asa is actually changing a lot in Dragonflight. It's like, It's weird how it's changing though, because the idea of the spec is still the same, where you're just gonna run at people and just PvE parse them, but you don't have Vendetta anymore, and you have Thistlety, which I think is a really fun ability for Asa. So I feel like the playstyle is going to be really weird, even though it's such a similar playstyle, but I actually think it'll be really fun.
Okay. So what's this thing about Thistlety then? That's that's the bottom tree in the general. What makes that so awesome, so amazing that you're excited about it?
So it has 3 charges. It gives you, when I played it on beta, it gave around like 22% mastery or something like that, and then it just gives you 100 energy. And it's really good on Asa Rogue because you also have the Outlaw PvP talent, Control is King, so you're just getting a ton of energy and you can just mash globals the entire arena.
Nice. That actually sounds... How's that going to work out in solo queue then? Is that just going to make Assassination just like top DPS parser for all of solo?
It seems like it's gonna pump, yeah.
Yeah, I was dueling on the beta, like healers. I was dueling all the different healer specs on beta, and obviously it's not a the damage numbers aren't there, right? Like that still needs to be changed, but I wouldn't run out of energy on just single target for like 2 to 3 minutes. Just straight mashing globals the whole time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, cuz you also get vigor too, so
Oh my, okay. Oh, okay. Wow. All right.
Which is 150 max energy.
Yeah, and then the bonus regen as well.
Yeah. I'm getting kind of excited for this. This is
the only thing I'm worried about with Asa personally, even though I know Kalvish is doing most of the Asa stuff, is that I think Deathmark is dispellable, right?
I don't think it is. I don't remember.
I've heard a lot of people complaining about that on like the forums and stuff.
It could be dispellable. I wouldn't remember. I don't like Deathmark as an ability though. I feel like Asa with Asa would be a ton of like an extreme amount of fun if it just had Vendetta. It would be really good and it would be really like rewarding to just have Vendetta, but I don't know. It's gonna take a lot of getting used to with Deathmark. Maybe it's not maybe it's not as bad as I think it is, but it just seems like such a boring ability that I'm just not interested in it at all, to be honest.
Okay. Interesting. And I gotta ask both of you because there's nobody here specifically for Outlaw. Is there anything in Outlaw that's even exciting, or is it going to be a rehash of what we just saw in Shadowlands? Is it changing? What's even going on
Okay.
with that spec?
I'm actually the most excited about Outlaw. I'll probably, if the build I want to play is good in Shadowlands, then that's the build I'll probably main. But let me open my talent thing.
Okay.
So Outlaw gets to spec into Shadow Dance on the general talent tree, which is really good for Outlaw because Outlaw has a lot of random stops and mobility and short cooldown blind already. So Outlaw can have grapple, it can have short blind, and it can have Shadow Dance. And then it also has an Outlaw only talent called Dirty Tricks, which makes it so Cheap Shot, Gouge, and Sap no longer cost energy. So as an Outlaw rogue, you can dance. You'll have 0 energy issues. You can CC the whole team, and you can mash ambush the entire dance.
All right. So we're gonna see.
Yeah, they plugged a lot of Outlaw's weaknesses, like not being able to get behind
Yeah.
evasion. Like you still have Shadow Step, and
Yeah, for sure. Outlaw gets
Wow.
Shadow Step and grapple.
So Outlaw is going to be the king of rogues.
And then the other thing is, since it's so heavily physical, when you're going the dance path, you're also getting find weakness.
Yeah, for
So when
sure.
you're just perma ambushing, you're also getting the armor pen that some
Yeah.
would have too.
There's also a talent that benefits the dance play style as well. It's at the bottom of the Outlaw tree, Hidden Opportunity. Effects that grant a chance for Sinister Strike to strike an additional time also apply to Ambush. And if you read Ambush's tooltip, it's about double the damage, and in testing, it's about double the damage of a Sinister Strike. So you're dancing, and instead of pressing Sinister Strike, you're pressing Ambush, and it's doing double the damage because it can proc extra Sinister Strikes too.
Wow. Okay, I'm really excited about it. I want to let's just keep talking about Outlaw here. So the big thing that everybody was a lot of people are having issue with Outlaw in Shadowlands was because of all the cooldown reduction. And that, so I have to ask, is that still a thing? Like, are we still going to see a better version of Outlaw in Dragonflight with the same cooldown reduction, the same basically a spec that you have to be a master with a high action per second robot player, or a spec that just breaks the scripts because of cooldown reductions?
The thing with cooldown reduction is I feel like, in my opinion, it's a very toxic playstyle to the game, and like I don't think anybody really likes fighting anything with CDR. And after all the nerfs to CDR, I think Outlaw, that playstyle where you're just playing for the CDR and resetting your abilities or whatever, it's not going to be as like prevalent, but Outlaw will still be better like than it is now, I think, because of all of the other stuff that it's gaining. So I think it's better. It's a better class, but it's more fun to fight.
All right. Now, one thing I did notice when we're prepping for all this, I've noticed throughout all the specs and all the ones we've done before, on the PvP talent side, there was some new talents that have been injected into the game. I'm told, as far as I understand, there's supposed to be more coming, and I also noticed that on a lot of the classes so far, there's been a few PvP talents that have come into the trees. Now, I saw that with with Assassination, Flying Daggers, and Intent to Kill are no longer PvP talents. They're now specifically in the spec tree. Same in
Outlaw, the float like
Outlaw.
a butterfly is built into,
Exactly. Yeah. But Subtlety, that didn't happen. But they gain control is king. So I'm just kind of curious, one, if for Outlaw, does float like a butterfly being in the spec tree, does that even matter? Are you guys going to pick that at all?
Oh no, that's only on the Outlaw, because it's in the Outlaw actual spec tree rather than an honor talent.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but I mean, is that even going to be something you guys would pick as Outlaw in the tree? Like, I'm just trying to look at.
It just depends on what you're fighting entirely. Like, there's so many in like if you play an arena as an Outlaw rogue right now, in half of the games, float like a butterfly is never going to get value anyways. So it's probably just a thing where you switch the talent in the arena. Like if you're fighting a cleave, you just talent it just because it's nice to have.
Okay. All right. And I wasn't sure if that was even going to be like if it's still going to be a thing for Dragonflight or if it's like, situational, not.
Yeah.
Well, they already nerfed Shadow Dust from 20 to 10 at the end of Shadowlands. And I think
Yeah.
that was kind of a big part of what really pushed
Yeah.
the CDR over the top, especially if you got certain
for
different
sure.
roll of bones. But so that's when you would get into like 2 evasions in a row type territory.
What's wrong with that?
Too much.
I jest. All right. And the reason for my question there, I just wanted to roll back, maybe kick over to subtlety talk, is on the subtlety, like we said, there is no talents have been put into the tree. So, and this is kind of the reason why I think this is important is because some specs have really actually gained almost like a 4th PvP talent slot because now
And they got baseline. Yeah.
they got baselined. How do you feel about that for subtlety? Do you think that that's a missed opportunity? Does it really matter?
I think we gained enough of other stuff that kind of makes up for it. That's already OP, like
Yeah.
Subro getting Shadow Dust. Like I don't know how that's gonna go through, or if they're nerfing that into the
Yeah.
ground, or And
Something
then
with sub
acrobatic
too.
strikes is so fun too.
Yeah, so something with sub as well is for a while now, the 3rd PvP talent for sub has
Mhm.
always been like a flex pick anyways. Like you talent into
Yeah.
maneuverability or disarm or something. So even if it doesn't matter that much, to be honest, the 3rd talent is pretty useless for the most part anyways, except for maybe Control is King now, depending on your other talents.
Mm-hmm.
Or Thieves Bargain with Shadow Dust.
The only thing I don't like about the flexibility of thirds, like what Kalvish was saying, is that Tricks as itself isn't baseline, and it's really hard to justify picking Tricks as a normal talent to justify being able to take it as an honor talent.
I
Because then you're
agree.
having to spend a talent and an honor talent to get Tricks. So now
Yeah.
it feels like I can never really pick Tricks anymore. Because that's gonna
Yeah.
like impact me taking Subterfuge or something like that. Because it's like basically having to spend 2 talents to get that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's worth it. I think it should probably just be baseline into the actual
Yeah,
Tricks
I
ability,
mean
to
for
be honest.
PvE too. Like imagine it being a damage loss for PvEers to take Tricks, which is just like a utility for tanks.
I mean, there's
Like,
nobody that's ever gonna take that talent. Actually,
yeah, it's
there's
not
just no way
fun to like
anybody is
talent
ever gonna
Tricks.
take
Like,
it.
yeah.
Hmm.
But
Are
that's
we
like
gonna?
a common third flex, like if you don't need disarm, because you really only need to disarm like rogues and like other warriors, maybe like a marksman hunter or something like that, or like Death Knight, Death Strike or something. But
Yeah. What about monks? We disarm monks? Not really, eh?
it stops them from using Fist of Fury, but it's never really worth the talent. Like Tricks is just
Yeah.
gonna help you kill them. Or
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. And what about over on affliction? I guess because affliction, now you get control as king because that's baseline for all specs. Hemotoxin, smoke bomb, maneuverability, and then flying daggers and intent to kill are now in the spec tree. That sounds like Assassination really got buffed. I know we kind of talked that they're already, really good, but how do you guys feel about that for the talent tree and the PvP talents?
I think Rogue PvP talents are just gonna be Control is King with Hemotoxin and Smoke Bomb. Probably gonna play it every single game, and maybe drop Control is King for disarm sometimes.
All right, that sounds pretty simple.
Yeah, Control is King. Control is King. It gets really good value as an Rogue because of internal bleeding. So you Control is King. You get a ton of energy from that, and then you're getting a ton of energy from internal bleeding, and you're just gonna have so much energy. You can do as much. You can have 0 energy into the kidney, and you'll end it with full energy.
That's
so with Subterfuge, do you know if Control as King double dips if you're like multi cheap shotting? Like, does it like pandemic and add to it to be longer?
I have no idea. I wouldn't know that. I don't think it matters for Asa though, because you
Yeah,
have the cut to the chase talent. That's just gonna give you slice and dice anyways.
makes sense.
Deal. Something with Asa that's really weird, actually, is I was looking at it earlier and it really confused me. If you read the Iron Wire talent, it says Garrote silences the target for 6 seconds when used from stealth. This is a talent in retail, but it says Garrote silences the target for an additional 3 seconds if used from stealth, which makes me think you have to talent into it to get the baseline Garrote silence, which I don't think that's a very good change, but it could be nice. Maybe the Garrote is just 6 seconds in PvP and it's really broken. Who knows?
feel like the Iron Wire, when it was an Azerite trait in BFA, it had like a PvP nerf on it that made it go to like 1 second more,
Yeah, I'm not
I
sure.
think.
I'm
Hmm.
just thinking you probably have to talent into it in Dragonflight to even have silence on your Garrote.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised.
Just a really random change.
I mean, considering some specs have like what you consider important baseline items that you have to pick in the tree, and then there's other trees where you have to pick useless stuff that you don't even want just to get to something that is important just the same. So interesting. Okay, well, here let's actually drive through one of these trees.
Mhm.
I, let's start with assassination. A goes first, right? So I have it up on the screen. Why don't we run through this and see now, what makes this so good, and why the spec or the talents were picked that were picked. So I think yeah.
Okay. Sure. So the big thing about Assassination, um, is dragon tempered blades with venomous wounds and amplifying poison. So, you're proccing you have poisons the whole game on everything. You get to multi-dot everything. You're getting a ton of energy, and since you can have 2 lethal poisons on an assassination rogue,
Mm-hmm.
right now, deadly poison is going to be the majority of your damage anyways. But now you have amplifying poison, which procs all the time. It does a little bit less than normal procs of deadly poison, but it also gives you that 30% increased in venom damage. So Asa Rogue is just gonna auto attack you, proc poisons, and press envenom, and it's gonna be really good. You also get to have mind numbing and crippling poison, which is really toxic. Mind numbing poison for casters is a really annoying thing to deal with, and being able to have crippling and mind numbing poison as a rogue is completely disgusting.
Okay.
Which is already kind of a big epidemic with Outlaw, where they just pistol shot slow you while having mind numbing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm just sorry. I'm loving these little double entendres of epidemic and toxic when we're talking poisons.
Uh-huh.
I love it.
The theme.
So wow. So I'm just wondering like what are we going to see Asa Rogues then do? They're just going to be in stealth until they pop up in front of your face and just poison and slap you around and you die? Like
That's kind of what I was saying earlier about how their play style is still the same, but
yeah.
it's like a weirder version of it. Like you do the same thing except you don't run out of energy,
Mhm.
and your damage feels a little different. Like instead of having some bursty damage here and there, it's basically just passive damage the whole time.
Is that even going to be counterable?
I'm not sure. I have no idea.
I think
Yeah.
it's gonna be more in like the territory of just multi-dotting, especially in like
Yeah.
a Rogue Shadow Priest kind of environment.
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, it's definitely going to be good in like Rogue Shadow
Yeah.
Priest for sure.
No
Like
kidding.
it literally does not run out of energy the entire game. It's
Wow.
unreal.
I like it. I mean, I like the sound of playing it. I don't like the sound of running into it.
Yeah,
not gonna not gonna lie.
very
All
true.
right. I think that's is there anything else? So you ran through a lot of stuff that's in the specific spec tree. What about in the general tree? I noticed you ran down pretty much the middle and the left side there, all the way down again to Thistle and then Resounding Clarity. Is there any specific reasons, or is there any nuances there? So like depending on who you're playing against or who you're playing with, that some of these things might change. Let's go first. Like
Um,
why you picked what you picked.
sure. So I think Resounding Clarity, while it's not really super insane for Asa, I think it's
Mm-hmm.
like required for every spec to play because of how little points. I think it's one less point to spec into Echoing Reprimand with the extra combo points, which is compared to the left and right tree instead of
Mm-hmm.
going down the middle tree. It just makes it like a must to talent into for like every single rogue spec in my opinion, since it's so efficient on your talent point spending. But then for alacrity and lethality on the left and right side of that,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that's probably mostly preference. for most of the specs. You can talent into Deeper Stratagem, Mark for Death, Cold Blood. You could go you could go Alacrity or Lethality. I would say any of those would work. But that's the only thing that I would change most likely. Aside from some stuff with Sub Rogue, I think, but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
fair,
like 2 builds I can maybe do as sub, I think. Maybe
Yeah.
3.
I think the big thing with Sub Rogue specifically is energy costs at the start of the expansion.
Mhm.
You might need to talent into more energy as a sub rogue. Like I remember at the start of Shadowlands when the rushed setup conduit was low eye level, people were talenting Shot in the Dark because of how energy efficient it was. So maybe that's seen again. Maybe they have enough energy with the new talents coming in already. I don't know yet. It would have to like get tested.
I kind of had the opposite problem where there was like 5 different energy talents as sub that felt redundant because Shadow Focus was just so much better than all of them. And like
Yeah,
having Shadow Focus while not losing Night Stalker just was like all the energy you could ever need
yeah, for
on
sure.
top of like Symbols being back. And it's like, am I
Yeah.
really going to take like the improved Shadow Technique proc or, rush setup or.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it definitely just depends on how it feels. Because like
Yeah.
already in retail, Shadow Focus is viable in retail as a sub rogue. That talent is
Yeah.
really good.
Mhm.
I like it a lot for like Rogue Healer 2s or, doing like the kind of Houghton one-shot build where you can like duel at any
Yeah.
moment mid-combo. Like,
Houghton
feels so
invented that
good.
talent, so
Yep, he did.
I Here's a question. Just you kind of raised it in my head talking about early expansion. First season, we always see where gear scaling and the stat distribution we have on gear is slightly different first season to the last season. There's always that incremental increase in different tertiary stats and secondary stats. What are you guys feeling like? How I know the PvP gear has been up on the beta for a while. Do you think we're gonna have enough haste and all that stuff? Is that going to and mastery, is that going to impact talent choice and like you said, things like gameplay and different talent choices to build and spend?
So for the most part, haste is a really, really low part of the energy regen baseline. Like
Mhm.
there's some add-ons that would like track it by your stats. And even if you were like 20 or, 30% haste, it would literally only increase your energy regen by like 1 or 2 a second, which
Okay.
does add up, but it's more of like a PvE 100% uptime kind of thing.
Fair.
That's why Sub Rogue doesn't really go haste at all. You just go verse mastery. Most of like all the energy regen is coming from like talents and stuff like that. So I guess auto attacking more would proc shadow techniques more actually, but which that's what the energy regen would come from, is just more procs rather than the haste itself interacting with it.
Okay.
yeah. Rogue in general, all 3 specs are very good in early seasons, in my opinion. You don't need that many stats for it to work. And if everybody's low verse, then you're a rogue, so it's better for you than anybody else. So
No.
Okay. Neat.
It's kind of the
I
same
like it.
phenomenon you see in TBC and Wrath, where like season 1 Rogue was crazy damage. Season like
Yeah.
with Rogue Mage and stuff specifically, and season 5 Ambush is just trucking people at the start of Wrath. Like generally, people get tankier as the expansion go on. A lot of it is just raw stamina as well.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Like
Low
that
health
scales
pools.
really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
for Outlaw specifically, the stats don't really matter that much for Outlaw at all, to be honest. The only thing that is super important is verse, and maybe having high amount of crit would be like nice to have. But you could play Outlaw without any of the secondary stats besides verse, and it would be completely fine, to be honest.
Interesting. Does that mean are we going to start seeing more PvE items then in part of like the BIS set, or is it still going to be mostly just
I feel
the
like if it's
PvP
doing
set?
WAD style gearing where it scales up, I think it'll just be easier to get the PvP loot. Hopefully,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
But
Yeah,
yeah, there
PvP
isn't
gear
like
will probably be the
perfect
best.
itemization. But like, 'cause you might get stuck with like a crit belt or something like that, or like your secondary ring might not be perfect. But
Mm-hmm.
fair. I do like the idea of not 100%, the BIS set always being 100%
yeah,
just PvP. I do like having some PvE items in there for
I
that
agree with
I
that
that
too,
think
yeah.
I
niche.
think professions is gonna fit that niche for you, because I think that's gonna be kind of the same territory we're going at with where the
Yeah.
legendaries were at. Because I think when they nerfed the trinket set bonus to 10, I think there's I saw Big Mex tweeting about it that there was like profession items that also gave you the other 5% to put you
Yeah.
back at 15.
Yeah. You like crafted gear, you can make it, and you get another
Yeah.
5%.
And it says it's BOP, so people thought you had to like level the professions, but there's the whole work order system where you can like make someone craft stuff for you, and then you'll get the BOP loot. So
Oh, neat.
it's
Okay.
definitely a weird system where even if it says BOP, you can like have someone make it for you if you give them the mats.
Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. The one thing I and is something I needed to get onto the beta to still test, because I remember the trinket set bonus, the 10% CC reduction, said that it didn't stack with anything. So I'm not sure if that means that other 5% will actually stack with it or not. Because
I think they changed it.
Oh, did they?
So
Because
on beta right now, it still says does not stack on the trinket tooltip at 10.
yeah,
But like
the intent was it
would be
wasn't
a
supposed to
horrible
stack
profession
with...
item if it didn't.
Well,
Maybe it's just
Can you imagine? Like, oh yeah, here's that 5%. Oh yeah, that 10,000 gold.
there was a whole bunch of different profession bonuses, and some of them seemed crazy. Where you can kind of make the trade off where you could, be 5% worse at dealing with CC to gain more damage and stuff.
Yeah, true.
It wouldn't be able to compete if it didn't stack. It'd be weird to make it in the first place.
I know. It's just something that I thought of, and I still need to test it. So okay, where are we at here? So we talked Assassination, Subtlety. Really, I think we haven't. Oh no, let's do Outlaw first. Actually, let's go alphabetical. O comes before S, right? I think it does.
Right?
Start doing the ABCs.
No, I would have to start saying it.
Let's sing along with me. All right, Outlaw. So again, I know this was yours, Kalvish, that you put together, but I know Nahj, I'm sure you probably have some points that you would like to bring up in this one as well. But let's start with you, Kalvish. It's your tree. What did you pick and why?
Okay, so this is the build I want to play most on Outlaw. It might not be the best build, but I'm hoping it's good because it seems like there's some talents that Blizzard like leads you to piece it all together to maybe they want it to be a build like hidden opportunity in the Outlaw tree with Shadow Dance in the general tree. It just works together perfectly. I don't know. I think it's really nice having Subterfuge with cheap tricks. You can CC everything as Outlaw. You most likely will not need any extra energy outside of just ambush dispatching, but then that's helped with Echoing Reprimand. So it seems like all the problems that could happen with this build are just not existent, and what's nice with it is you'll have the burst and CC of a sub-rogue every minute with Dance, while also still having that constant annoying PvE outlaw damage that also has the Assassination rogue wound poison now. So I'm definitely very excited for this build.
I can't disagree. I'm getting excited just listening to you guys talk about this. It almost makes me want to. I'm having the hardest time trying to figure out what I want to main now for Dragonflight. Every time I talk to every time I talk to a new roundtable, it's like, oh, that sounds really awesome.
Yeah. One more thing actually.
Yeah.
Killing Spree. Killing Spree on the beta. So when I logged on the beta a couple months ago, Dance gave around like an 80% damage modifier for Outlaw Rogue. For some reason, I don't know if it was intended or not. I think it's removed now, but I'm not sure. And it made Killing Spree actually do damage, but the tooltip of Killing Spree hasn't changed at all, so it's probably not good, which sucks, because that's why I put it on there. I really want Killing Spree to be good. I think it would be fun to play a Shadow Dance Killing Spree Outlaw Rogue, but it's probably not realistic. And Dreadblades
I have a
will
lot
probably
of
be taking
gripes
over
with Killing Spree myself, where you don't even get to keep the mobility of it. Like I understand that it needed to be peelable, like since WoD when it was insanely overpowered. But whenever I like Killing Spree a port or something like that, it's so anticlimactic to just teleport back into the middle of the map afterwards. It's like you get kited because of it. And I could like never justify it because of that.
The ability has been useless for like 3 expansions now or something like that. The tooltip hasn't been updated a single time. I don't know why it's like that. Nothing's been changed about it. It's just completely useless. And it'll probably still be the same in Dragonflight unless Outlaw Rogue still has some crazy modifier or whatever.
But I'm pretty. We know that there's not going to be
And-
any new modifiers, so that's
Yeah.
that's not going to happen.
Another thing is with Dreadblades is like just finishers per minute is like more CDR. So like just being
Yeah.
able to just mash out a bunch of eviscerates, even if you're
Mhm.
damaging yourself, it's just always utility rather than just.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then
Neat.
right below the killing spree talent too, there's Fan the Hammer. When Sinister strikes an additional time, gain 1 additional stack of opportunity. So you can stack this up during your dance goes, and you don't have to pistol shot in your dance because obviously you would rather ambush instead of pistol shotting. So you can stack it up with ambushes, and then maybe after your dance you can just dump 6 pistol shots on somebody because it kind of works from the tooltip. What I would assume is it works like the Blunderbuss legendary right now, except you can hit people with 6 pistol shots, I guess.
What?
Maybe not. I think it's 2 pistol shots, actually. You just get 2
Okay.
pistol shots every time, and it consumes a stack. But it'll also get the extra damage and then the half cost, too, so...
Oh, that sounds ridiculous, though. Yeah, I hope it's not 6 in a row. That'd be.
Yeah, that would be insane. I wonder if it gives 4 combo points, though.
I don't know. Hey, we should have tested this out, but you should let me know. We could have gone on and tested this. Damn it. All right. I guess. So looking at this tree, this is, like you said, Kalvish, this is the tree that you thought you wanted to play the most.
Yeah.
What is there any variation to this? Does it if you're playing RMP versus if you're playing Rogue X, if you're playing I don't know, solo queue, is this going to change, or is this going to be like the one spec to rule them all?
This would probably be the only variation of this build. I don't think there's any talents you could change. Maybe you could pick up Ghostly Strike or a Roll the Bones talent or something. Or maybe you get Prey on the Weak somewhere. But for Rogue Mage, this would be the best build, assuming it's actually a good build. If this build wasn't to be played, I think a build that could be really interesting would be a Blade Flurry build. Because already Blade Flurry does a ton of damage. On retail right now, it's constant pressure, constant cleave, and there's 3 different talents in the Outlaw tree that give it a big modifier and a ton more damage, so that could be interesting as well. Going for, instead of having the burst and setup of Shadow Dance, maybe you spec into Thistlety or you get Cold Blood or something, right? Something like that.
Okay.
And just PvE harder.
Just PvE, yeah.
The cool thing would maybe be trying some kind of crazy greenskin lethality build. Because that'd be 20% more pistol shot crit,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, something like that too, yeah, for sure.
I'll be honest, I'm lost in the tree right now, just trying to find
So
some of these things.
lethality is right above Cold Blood.
That doesn't help me.
It's above Thistlety. 2 above Thistlety.
Yeah, got it. There it is. Thank you. I did study
and
this
green screen is
beforehand,
all the way
trust me.
bottom right.
Okay. Oh yeah.
It's
There it is,
the
green skin
legendary
Wickers.
from
Between the eyes, 20% more per chance per
Oh,
combo.
I thought it used to be 300, but yeah, I guess it's nerfed.
Between the eyes has a 20% chance per combo point to increase your next pistol by 200.
Yeah. So I think in Shadowlands it's 300.
I mean,
yeah, it's
200.
pretty big.
Yeah, come on. Oh, so that increases the next damage by 200, but then does pistol shot have a chance to crit?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Doing 20% more crit damage would be really fun.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, since lethality buffs generators and pistol shot as a generator, just 20% more damage on crits.
That's why I can't take Markford at the sub. Is lethality feels so good for Gloomblade stacks.
No kidding. Ooh, okay. That gives me a little. Hey, speaking of Gloomblade, what's going on with that? Are we? Is that even a thing we want to pick?
I think it is, yeah.
Why?
Because it's basically when you're going down the left path, you pick either it or improve shadow techniques. And I've never had any energy problems at all. So getting 3 additional energy on shadow techniques doesn't seem worth it. So I'd rather have a couple thousand more damage.
I'm the opposite. I want to do everything to avoid backstab builds and Gloomblade builds. I find them very boring, to be honest. I don't like that playstyle.
Well, the thing with me is if I'm doing a 2 or 3 stack perforated veins with Dance Macabre stacks, I Gloomblade harder than I eviscerate, mid combo. So, and I'm only doing 1 Gloomblade, and it's just to count as not doing 2 Shadow Strikes to lose my stacks. because it'll be
Yeah.
like cheap shot, or it'll be like dance, kidney.
Yeah, it works together because you're
yeah.
adding stacks to the
And like
dance.
Kyrian Ivis, Shadow Strike, Backstab, cheap shot Ivis, And when you just do that, where you do like a 2-stack or more kind of perforated veins Gloomblade, it just hits so hard with Macabre.
Yeah.
Like
I
I've
can
had
see
some
that for
30k
sure.
Gloomblades, and it feels a lot better than like 3 more energy on Shadow Tech when I'm never having problems.
Mm-hmm.
It's by no means saying I want to like spam Gloomblade in between my dances. Like I'm still playing the hit and run playstyle. It's just more damage, I feel like.
Yeah. I don't like perforated veins, to be honest. I don't like building the stacks and then dumping it on Gloomblade. I feel like it's weird. It just feels weird to me. So I would prefer to talent into Flagellation. Does a ton of damage, it's shatter damage, goes through armor. Gives you mastery too in Dragonflight. So definitely more interesting for me over the
I'm just such a
Gloomblade
sucker for
playstyle.
CDR, so it's cool that there's multiple playstyles.
Yeah.
But the CDR will probably get nerfed, and then we'll be going down the right path. But
well, with Flag, with Flag, the only thing you're losing is Lingering Shadow and Dance Macabre, and then you're getting Flag, Deeper Stratagem, and then all of the other CDR stuff with the Rotten too.
Yeah, it's just how high were your Eviscerates and Gloomblades without Macabre?
I have not tested it.
I feel like I was getting way more numbers with the middle path, especially because
Really?
you still got shadow finishers, even if you're going left and middle.
Yeah, when I tested Flag on the beta, it did a lot of damage for some reason. Like it was my hardest hitting ability. I don't know why, but Flag is definitely really nice.
Yeah.
And I think having
It was
Flag with Reprimand is a really good combination too. You can
Yeah.
get stacks of Flag extremely easily.
What have you been feeling on the subject of Reprimand now that it's like a branch node where you get to pick basically between the conduit and the legendary? Do you think the 75% increased damage could ever be worth it? I don't think so, but
it depends. Because you remember the nerfs on Reprimand in Season 1, how they nerfed the conduit and they nerfed the ability baseline? If that's removed in Shadowlands, which they're removing a lot of modifiers, and then it's a talent, so maybe it's not even considered as a conduit anymore, right? If it's removed, I could easily see a build as sub or even outlaw even, where you're just playing around one-shotting people with Reprimand. Which I wouldn't like, because losing the 3 additional combo points on Reprimand actually feels awful. But maybe it could be cool if you're just one-shotting people. I don't know. It just depends on if they change the modifiers or not.
I think that's probably one of the hardest things right now is we're white
Just
papering
feeling numbers.
Yeah, just numbers, exactly. Yeah. Can never truly know what's going to be good or bad.
Nope. Beta is so much fun for that. Actually, here's a question. I know a lot of people are complaining right now on the beta with solo queue and duels with just like things just one-shotting. I know they removed a whole bunch of the PvP modifiers. Just based on the raw numbers, understanding that there's still a ton of tuning to happen and everything. It sounds like these sound really good. Like they sound like they're fun to play. You're doing damage throughout, as well as like when you do your specialities. Does it feel like they're good and able to hold their own, or are they still like one shot gimmicks, or does it feel like you're struggling to even do what you feel you should be able to do as a rogue?
In solo queue, it felt like I had a lot of presence with the CDR playstyle.
Okay.
Even without like long kidney and stuff. And the thing that hurts me is like the built-in relent kind of thing.
Yeah.
It kills a lot of the potential comp and like just ability interactions in general. Like you're never going to sap out of a fear or a cyclone again and stuff like that. So it kind of hurts being able to play something that's not RMP. But I mean, it just comes down to how much damage we can do, really. But like, my presence felt good in solo queue, I think, for the most part.
Yeah, I think as a sub-rogue too, with the CDR build, even if you did 0 damage, you're still going to have such a huge impact on the game, because you have so many different buttons you can press, and you're just reducing all of them by vanishing, so...
And the other cool thing is with solo queue is that it's your rating is tied to your spec. So like you could be like the highest ranked sub-rogue and still be like a couple hundred points lower than Outlaw if Outlaw was better.
Yeah.
Like you're not competing against your better spec.
Yeah, that's cool
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
I think that one change is amazing for solo queue, and it makes absolute sense, right? So,
I mean, I'll feel bad if sub is weaker and I'm like inting the lobbies, and affecting other people's rating, but
Yeah, true.
we didn't actually go through this whole sub rogue tree, so why don't we, Naj,
Mhm.
can you take us like your actual tree here?
Yeah.
Why'd you pick what you picked though? We kind of talked about Gloomblade and that whole interaction, but what else? What else really got you? Got you going to pick certain talents.
So instead of flag, I just went for Macabre because it's like an actual really fun talent, and it actually gives you a lot of damage. And then it also just Dark Shadow. So what they did with the Dark Shadow one right there is that Dance used to give you 15% damage baseline, and then that talent used to give you another 15.
Mhm.
But they basically took out the baseline modifier, so Dance gives you nothing, and then this talent gives you 30. So it's the same percentage. It's just a damage loss if you didn't have the talent, because it's like not the half of the talent isn't baseline anymore.
Mhm.
So the damage there kind of makes up for some of the things you miss on the right path, like deeper daggers and finality, and because you still get shadow finishers where I'm at, which is like the most important part of the right side. It sucked on the previous talent iterations where you just couldn't afford to get it if you went for the CDR sometimes, unless you went all the way for flag. But I feel like Dance Macabre and Dark Shadow breaks even with the damage you have on the right side while still giving you a lot of utility and changing up your rotation a bit.
Okay.
But I would say like the star that you go for is the CDR path on the left side, unless they nerfed that.
Yeah,
But it's just cool how many of the talents interact with each other. Because like I know Kalvish was saying he doesn't like perforated veins, and I mean I try not to force it. It's not like I'm gonna like get a re and Shadow Strike 3 globals in a row trying to like build stacks or anything. They just kind of happen naturally. It'd be cool if like other things stacked perforated with it.
Yeah, I
Like
agree
if it
with that
wasn't
too.
only Shadow Strike.
It'd be a more fun talent to me if it was like that.
Yeah, like even if they like nerfed it in half, but made it easier to get the stacks. Like if it was like Cheap Shot and Abyss gave you stacks, but it stacks to like 10 or 20% instead of 40. Like that would make it more fun. But like the interactions that it has on that side with like the vein stacks and like rotten, and it feels like you can get a whole bunch of crits with all your builders with lethality.
So it sounds like just by doing your rotation, you're feeding yourself your rotation to then do what you want to do, rather than trying to cheese gimmick or have to do things that feel awkward just to make that builder
I mean,
happen.
you still kind of have the clunkiness of the Kyrian minigame in itself, since you have RNG, combo points from like shadow techniques and stuff. Like, and then Dance Macabre, it can be clunky sometimes in certain situations, but it's a clunky type of fun. And I feel like it will kind of just get dumbed down by weak auras. You'll just have a weak aura that shows you what abilities you've used, because it's not like the Monk Mastery hit combo where you can just alternate two things infinitely. Now you could just be like Blackout Kick, and Tiger Palm Punch or whatever, and just alternate those infinitely. If you repeat anything on your dance, you lose your stacks.
Oh, neat.
So like you have to pad it in different ways, like kidneying after you dance instead of before. Like only doing one Shadow Strike, doing like 2 eviscerates, where like your second eviscerates like at the end of the dance, closing out your stacks. And it's like
Nice.
so it's not just the cheap shot, and try to get 2 eviscerates spam kind of playstyle. Like it rewards you for like doing a Fan of Knives or a Shiv or like an off gouge.
That
Like
would
it's a really fun talent.
Yeah, that would mean you have to reprimand during your dance too, because that would be a higher value as well.
And then another thing that's annoying is I don't know if you've realized this yet, Calv, because I don't know how much beta you've played, but they fixed I don't know if it was a bug, but basically Kyrian doesn't put Fine Weakness up anymore. If you do it in dance or stealth.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to like Shadow Strike after you stun and then probably Kyrian.
Yeah. Interesting.
Which it's painful because a lot of the times, when you can't
annoying.
afford to do that many Shadow Strikes on Orc, like on like a stun lock rotation where they have a lot of stun reduction, you can't really fit Shadow Strike in for Fine Weakness sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Damn.
But yeah.
All right.
It's just half the new depth of the whole entire expansion is riding on that one talent, though, in my opinion. it's a really fun talent.
It sounds awesome, but at the same time, that's kind of scary. Whenever, like, no offense, but whenever we see everything riding on just one thing, like that's a razor's edge where it either does well or it fails hard.
It's basically you're thinking of it as a 30 to 70% modifier on a vis that's stacking with all your other modifiers.
Oh, that's painful. Hopefully they don't. Hopefully they tune it right. With Subtilty, then, is there much nuance here? Like, I mean, we already see the two talent trees between both Kalvish and yourself. What are we like? Is it like, again, like, is it, some minor nuances, only one or two trees, or is there going to be a bunch of
some
nuances?
of the PvP nerfs are actually still in, even the people who were saying they were removed. So like Prey on the Weak, which Kalvish had in is actually still nerfed to 5% in PvP. The one right below the sap on the top right of the class tree.
Yep.
It's nerfed in half in PvP, but that is another little side optimization I can make, where if I wanted as much stars aligned, like team damage with my team, I could, drop Subterfuge for it.
Okay.
And I could see arguments for taking Mark for Death, but I like lethality so much for the Kyrian itself, and then like Gloomblade and.
Yeah, I think lethality is nice too, especially while having reprimand. You don't really need Mark for Death that much, to be honest.
Yeah.
You can get combo points pretty easily without it. It's only like super necessary as Asa, in my opinion.
I could see that.
Okay. So from the sounds of it, it sounds like, while there is a few things you could probably change, for the most part, these talent trees are going to be pretty much, again, like some, play style comes into play, how you want to play. But for the most part, we're probably going to see a guide with this build or that build, copy paste, and everybody's going to run the same thing for most of the time.
I do think there'll be some more deviations of stuff you can still kind of tweak.
Okay.
Like if you wanted to go for like mind numbing or something, if you had someone with a slow on your comp already, like if Subfrost was good. There's also some more like defensive talents you could take in general. Like on the right path by Shadow Finishers, you could take like the Fade to Nothing for like the damage reduction kind of thing. But I think ideally, if you want to see like a high damage or CDR type playstyle, it's gonna be like one of our two builds. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it just depends how aggressive you want to be.
Yeah.
Fair. All right. Next question. This is the part I love. What are you guys pissed off about? I think let's circle back. Let's first. I'm going to take off the talent trees here, and we'll just go face to face here. Let's open up the floor. First, Assassination. Not really pissed off, but let's talk about the stuff that doesn't seem to feel right. Stuff that you're probably going to avoid. Kalvish, you first. What if anything is it that you're not so happy about the tree?
I think the biggest problem with the rogue trees is more so just the general tree, to be honest. Like I don't like that Cold Blood and Mark for Death are split up by lethality and alacrity, especially having a talent into alacrity if you want Cold Blood or if you want Mark for Death. And then I also don't like that it feels kind of forced for every spec to talent into Echoing Reprimand. Even though Echoing Reprimand is a fun ability, it feels like awkward being locked into it, even as like an Assassination rogue, for example.
How about you, Nahj?
So I think I have a lot of like nitpicks with the overall kind of path. Like I don't expect to get grow back like an alpha and like early beta, but I think the biggest ones would like for the actual class tree would be the kind of the thing I posed about tricks. Even though that's not like a good thing to be wanting back, it's not a fun talent to pick.
Yeah, there's literally no reason for anybody to take that.
Yeah, and then I think the spec tree for sub is pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
And most of my gripes would be with like other classes, kind of class design issues. Like the thing that kind of pisses me off is I personally wish no Covenant ability survived going into this expansion. People don't need to be reminded that Shadowlands happened. You know,
For
I don't want
sure.
to be seeing mind games and warrior spear and the A-bomb limb and
Hunter Spear and yeah.
Hunter wall hack just killing you behind a pillar. I wish none of those survived.
I get what you're saying, but I have to admit that they're kind of fun. Like when you're playing to play against them sucks, but when you play it, it actually feels fun.
I just feel like most of them are like Swifty one-shot macros, and it doesn't feel interactive on almost any.
Yeah, it doesn't feel natural.
Yeah,
It feels like a
It's
little weird.
Yeah. I'd rather have like actual number tuning, kind of like Wrath, where you actually have like sustained pressure, and it's not just all cooldown damage.
Yeah, with
Fair enough.
modifiers, just
Yeah.
world of modifiers.
And then the other gripe I would have is a lot of the passive staying in the game. Like Druid still having auto frenzy. I think like that's really rough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, auto bubbles and auto slows. Bleh.
Yeah.
I mean, at least like the auto stun and auto fear and all those covenant things are gone, and some of like the random covenant pets are gone, like the Kevin slime for Necrolord and all that. Like at least those kind of things are gone. Yeah.
But it's Kevin. No.
Yeah.
I kid. Okay, so it sounds like otherwise you're pretty happy with the sub spec. What about an Outlaw? Is there anything in there that you guys aren't happy with? Kalvish?
The only real problem I have with Outlaw and these talents is I think the Weapon Master nerf is really annoying. Outlaw's a fun spec, but being like forced to get procs off Sinister Strike and then off Ambush now, right? It feels weird. Like I would rather it just be a constant, reliable, non-RNG based gameplay, because I already know in Dragonflight I'm gonna press Sinister Strike or Ambush 15 times in a row and I'm not gonna get a proc. So at least once.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool take.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool take for me to say the same thing, that like Roll the Bones needs to have died like 7 years ago.
Yeah, that too. I agree.
But
it's too much variance.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I got a 5 roll. I'm getting a good parse. Like.
Yeah.
This feels weird.
I have to admit, for a spec to have that much RNG to determine how good it does seems quite odd for how they've designed pretty much every other spec in the whole game. I'm not gonna lie. That's yeah.
It's just weird because it's part of the flavor, but how much it changes your rotation on each bone is ridiculous too.
Yeah, I think that's part that really makes Outlaw have such a high skill floor, though, is because you can't just do the same thing. It's not like.
But if it was like a 6-road talent where you pick the bone that your bone is every single time, or like as a talent where it was like, I'm picking the cooldown bone, and then that's just your maintenance buff that you chose. You know?
Yeah, I think that would be cool. That'd be better design than what it is now. I agree with that.
Then it would just be a flavorful slice maintenance buff where you just pick which one you want.
Yeah, I mean, I just find it boring. Like, oh, I got a trash roll. Oh, I didn't proc Sinister Strike on my kidney, so I'm doing literally 0 damage.
I'm gonna go pat on this pet behind a pillar for 15 seconds and spam finishers to get another roll.
It feels weird.
Oh, it's another single haste buff.
Yeah, I think it'll be different in Dragonflight, but I still don't like the RNG mechanic is still there in both Roll the Bones and Sinister Strike. So
yeah,
that's what I dislike the most. I also dislike that short blind still exists. I don't think short blind is good for the game, to be honest. I think that's all the problems I would have with the Outlaw tree.
Why don't you like short blind?
Because it doesn't line up with trinkets. It's just disgusting. Like, it's just so broken. I don't think it's good for the game. I think it's unhealthy. Same with 30-second grapple too. I think 30-second grapple, since it's reduced by Restless Blades, Outlaw Rogue is gonna have they're gonna have acrobatic strikes, they're gonna have Shadow Dance, they're gonna have step, they're gonna have grapple, but then their grapple is 30-second cooldown, it goes faster, and it's reduced by all of their finishers that they're gonna be spamming out because they have a Shadow Dance.
Do you still have Blade Rush too, or no?
Yeah. You can talent into Blade Rush. It's at the bottom of the left of the tree.
Okay. Should I bring the trees
back?
That's
another mobility tool. That's why I was thinking. That's just so much mobility.
Yeah, so somehow Outlaw is getting more mobility. Like, I don't even know how that's possible, but Sounds fun though.
Yeah.
Honestly, as a person that likes to watch AWC, I'm gonna have fun watching the observers trying to keep up to the outlaw rogue as they zip
Yeah.
around the map.
Uh-huh.
It's actually, here's a question. We've talked, as far as rated, we've been talking mostly 2s and 3s and solo queue. What about in RPGs? Like, are we going to see rogues in our? And I'm not talking like just the flag defender, the person running around the map to try to sneak cap flags, but are we actually going to see rogues
Like team fight?
participating? Yeah, or doing anything other than just flag cap?
I feel like the viability in RPGs is going to be mostly the same. With you can play Asa Rogue and parse on someone, or you can play Sub Rogue, and if you know what you're doing, Sub Rogue is really efficient in RPGs, and it'll be even better if you know what you're doing in Dragonflight because you have so much CDR, you have even more control. Like you could kidney someone 3 times. You could kidney 3 different people if you wanted to, in like one team fight.
Wow.
I feel like RPGs has this one kind of problem, how it interlaps with balance though, where you can't really have like a sub-rogue team fight kind of meta where people are just tab dotting, you know. I'm not gonna be able to like kidney sap one healer, blind one healer, kick the other guy into 3 cheap shots, and CC all 3 healers to like win the team fight. So everyone's just gonna be like these Death Knights and Boomkins and Warlocks and Shadow Priests just dotting everything. That's kind of how RPGs generally go.
Yeah, and then
when
there's
that's
an
kind
Asa
of the
Rogue,
case,
yeah.
and when that's the case, it's like Sub-Rogue's job is defend the node or gank the FC when he grabs the flag, or that's it.
Yeah. You do a little harassment or try, like you said, try to sap cap or stealth cap another flag or something, another base. Interesting. I was just kind of thinking because the way you guys are talking about assassination with that the extra venoms and the extra poisons and that kind of that dot rot kind of made me think that it was going to be extremely well played into the team fights. But also, this,
I mean, it could be a good way to
CDR.
get tongues on everyone, especially fan of knivesing.
Yeah, you just run around and fan of knives everybody. And you have improved
Mind numbing.
poisons as Asa too. So you're applying crippling and mind numbing at a better rate than any other class.
That doesn't sound like fun though. Just sitting in the team fight, fan and kniving over and over and over.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, if you're gonna like actually team fight on an Assassin Rogue, you'll probably talent into the fan of knives. I know there's at least a few talents that give fan of knives. So you're just applying poisons, you're multi-dotting, and then just mashing fan of knives over and over. And maybe you Crimson Tempest. You talent in a Crimson Tempest for more energy or something.
Yeah. That sounds disgusting.
Or you just outlaw Blade Flurry everything.
Yeah, that's probably the most realistic scenario. You play Outlaw Rogue with Dancing Steel. That makes it hit 3 additional enemies.
And the extra
precise cuts. Yeah.
Oh my god.
The crazy thing also is I think Blade Flurry is still bugged. So like all of Shadowlands, it would go through a lot of defensive cooldowns. So like if a druid was using Tranquility with the immunity and I hit his partner with Blade Flurry, it would like kill him in Trank. Same with like hunters during Turtle. Like you could just kill them by hitting their pet with Blade Flurry. And it seems like that's still kind of going through where Blade Flurry just goes through things, or like Rogue Evasion as well. Like it's insane how good Blade Flurry is.
Yeah.
That does sound broken.
with the talent Dancing Steel, Blade Flurry can hit 8 people. So you can hit the whole team in RBGs if you really wanted to.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right then. So it looks like we'll start seeing more outlaws in RBGs and less assassinations. Maybe.
I think just either, just not sub unless you're.
Yeah, there's very few sub, for sure. It's gonna be very few.
That's unfortunate.
Only good on a couple maps.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Wow, I think you guys talked faster than I think most people because we just went through about 2 hours worth of podcast in an hour. All right, I'm just gonna open up the floor. That's kind of like the structured, but I guess open the floor. First with you, Nahj. Just something. What's one other point about Dragonflight Rogue? Any 3 specs, just go for it. And what's something even in the PvP talent side? What's something that you feel that we haven't talked about that really needs to be said?
I would just say like the variance and rotation with some of the talents, but for the most part, it's just like how little it's just being a cheap shot bot now. Because like even if they give us more damage with some of the talents, like I was doing really good damage in some of the solo queue stuff. I didn't feel like I had to just triple cheap shot people. Like I feel like there was moments where I could like prio doing a big eviscerate over even doing a DR shot, cheap shot, and just trying to do a go in like one kidney, which I think that's a cool kind of line for damage sometimes being able to outweigh just only being a support.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think anybody would rather have that where they have the opportunity to not just be a support.
Make decisions.
Yeah, exactly. Right back over to you, Kalvish. Kind of the same question. Anything you feel that we missed that you really want to talk about, or anything that you feel that we should maybe rehash or mention again, just to really highlight on this whole class?
Yeah, so something I actually forgot to mention is Asa Rogue has 2 shivs now. In Dragonflight, they'll have 2 shivs. So you can 16-second 40% MS somebody, and that'll probably just make RPS completely broken. So
yeah, well, I had no idea. So. Sorry, what was that?
No, I was agreeing.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's pretty insane.
Yeah. It might just make Asa Rogue like insane in general. Like you just and then I think you have CDR somewhere in there too on Shiv. You'll just be able to like have Shiv up like most of the game. You can sit on your Shiv charges for a super long 20-second go that they can just do absolutely nothing
Personally,
about.
I still really hate that Shiv is Toxic Blade merged together. I miss Shiv being a spammable utility guarantee
as
slow.
Asa. I agree.
Or
with
a
that.
rage remover. Like Toxic Blade should be the I want to do damage in the hemotoxic button. Like
I agree. I think it's really weird and clunky that they're like put together for some reason. Like it
like
just
if you
applies
wanted
everything.
to, especially with gouge, if you wanted to gouge a warrior, get Zerker and shiv him, you just can't.
Yeah.
That's all your damage.
Yeah, it's definitely weird.
Yeah.
That just seems.
Because it used to be 2 separate abilities, and then they just merged them together into one. Where Shiv's a utility button for everyone but Asa.
Yeah, what's nice about Shiv for Asa though is how it applies super strong crippling poison, which makes me wonder. Yeah, is it the same as?
It's for sub.
Since
Yeah,
we
it's
have
84 Shiv master
really,
poison.
so you can 84 Shiv like on cooldown. That's
As sub.
disgusting.
Yeah, it's
With
nice.
master, yeah, that's broken.
And we get the 24 wound.
Yeah, so you can actually just run around as a sub rogue and just apply 84% cripplings the whole game. I wonder how fast that's gonna get nerfed.
And your normal base crippling is 60.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I was always crying about Blizzard to nerf this for Asa for like the last 4 expansions.
Yeah.
So I think as soon as sub has it, they'll actually be okay with nerfing it. That's the funny thing. It just takes sub getting it for Blizzard to actually do something about it. I think,
Yeah, for sure.
I hope that's not the case. That it has to be only when sub gets it that then they nerf it. But I kind of laugh because
84% is a lot slow.
Yeah,
that's basically a frost mage cone of cold.
Yeah. That is definitely broken. It's kind of nice as Asa though. Like it makes sense to have that slow on Asa Shiv because it's kind of nice that you're pressing your damage ability and they can't move. So that's pretty cool.
I mean, isn't that what System Shock used to be before your honor talents got more flexible?
Yeah. I mean, it's still like that. It just does 0 damage.
You just can't afford it. Yeah, and there's no point to take the talent because Shiv already does the job of it. Baseline.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's a question. Are we going to see where rogues are going to be like the king of duels again? Like where nobody can take them down?
I won the dueling tournament. How do you feel about that, Kalvish?
I bet. Oh my god.
In Dragonflight.
I think they'll do really well. I think they'll do really well in duels, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, rogues will probably do really good in duels.
I think it'll still be Feral being first round draft pick. They've always been the king of 1v1 since Kata.
Yeah, I agree. Like, there's no way Feral should ever lose.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see people
Actually,
still.
with no fleshcraft, maybe Rogue can beat Feral if it doesn't have fleshcraft. That's the only thing, though.
I feel like they'll still just auto frenzy and
Yeah,
survive.
probably. But
Unless there's like
it would
some
make
fucking
it.
weird PvP maledict trinket or something put back in.
Yeah, it would make it easier for the Rogue though, if there's no
Yeah.
fleshcraft.
Yeah.
I heard recently that there's a thing with druids where if they drop a pet, it like resets swipe, I think it is, or something, or anyway, it resets so that now people are like learning how to like totem and pet weave to like to reset some cooldowns on
That's
druid.
weird.
Yeah, it's clearly a beta broken oopsies that's probably gonna get
Yeah.
fixed, but yeah. All right. Guys, this is extremely educational, I have to admit. I'm probably going to watch this at least 3 times myself just to catch all the information we said. I guess first and foremost though, thank you very much for coming and joining me on this. First over to you, Nahj. Where can people find you if they want to like ask you some more direct questions that maybe I forgot to ask?
So usually just in my Twitch chat at twitch.tv/Nahj, I try to put in, full-time 150, 200 hours a month, usually 5 days a week. I usually don't go live on like Sundays and Thursdays, but
Okay.
and then the other good spot would be my Twitter, which is twitter.com/rognaj. Actually, one second. I need to double check.
I'm not sure. That was
Yeah, my
Rogue Nahj.
Twitter is at rognaj. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because Naj was taken.
Yes. Somebody else. All right. Cool. And I know you're super active on both places and very reactive to people there, so that's awesome.
I was just recently doing a bunch of Wrath armor pen math that I was trying to tweet my thoughts on.
Oh, that's some deadly math right there. That's what that is.
It's bad. Yeah,
It
it broke my brain for like a day. And I know it was already too early in season 5, but
that's always good to prepare ahead, right? So
yeah.
Kalvish, where can people find you, man?
I stream sometimes, very sometimes, at twitch.tv/Kalvish.
Mm-hmm.
Also can be contacted through my Twitter at KalvishWow or through my Discord.
All right. And if somebody happens to pop over onto Wrath of the Lich King Classic, they could probably find you on Benediction, right?
Probably.
I only say that because that's how I got a hold of you.
Feral instead of double Rogue.
Yeah. Actually, what are you playing over on Wrath?
I'm playing everything. I'm playing literally everything.
All right. That sounds fun.
Every comp I can. Nice. Sometimes. Until I hear the DKs and H
Yeah,
battles.
that's what I was gonna say.
And warriors, actually. There's just no hope versus plate classes.
The answer for that is just play 3s.